Hi everyone. So finally we're here. So as you guys know, today is the After Seven's fourth anniversary, and I just want to thank you guys for being here tonight again. Same time. Thank you for attending our live class, and I'm just so excited to answer your questions that you guys have sent me via email and Instagram stories. But if you still have more questions that you weren't able to send to me in advance, just type it here on our comment section and I will read it and answer it later. Okay, so I have categorized all the questions, and I wasn't able to take all the names of the person who asked, but later, when you heard your question that it was answered, just type in your just type it on the comment box that your question was answered. Okay, so first, I want to say hi to you guys. So we're not as many as we were before because this is a surprise live. So I just announced it last night, but I'm so happy that you guys were still able to attend our live today. So we have some familiar names here. So Alisa from Florida Ivy is here. Annie. So Annie, hello. Dwight. Hi, Dwight. So these were Dwight is my past student, Annie is my student, and Florid Ivy of Aliza is one of my followers on Instagram. Sonia, hello. So also I just want to say thank you guys for some of you already attended my Skillshare class on vintage rose watercolor, and for those who haven't attended it yet but you want to, the link is on the bio and you can access it for free for 30 days. So I'm gonna answer some questions. Again, you guys can still type your questions on the comment box. Wait, let me check. Okay, so I'm going to answer one question from the category of my journey. Okay. One question here is, have you experienced creative block? If ever, how did you overcome it? So before, I always experienced creative block. There were times that I wanted to paint, but I can't think or I can't find any good reference photo, or I I can't just create something that I really wanted. But eventually, I realized that I was experiencing creative block because I was forcing myself to paint, and I was painting by schedule. So after that, I don't paint anymore by schedule. I only paint whenever I want to because, let's say, for example, once a week or twice a week is enough for me to create 5 to 6 art pieces that I really love, because during those 2 days or a day, I am very much inspired, and whatever I paint is just so beautiful because the creative juice and the flow of inspiration is just there. So my advice to those who are just starting is to practice at least twice a week. But if you already know your style and if you already have something that you know that you're more advanced, I don't um, I don't advise for you guys to paint on a schedule, but rather paint whenever your heart feels inspired. And the next question is, what if you never get inspired at all? So, one way to feel inspired is to connect to other creatives, see other creatives' work. It doesn't have to be in the same category as yours. Like, for example, I paint flowers. I can look at um, artworks of landscape paintings or acrylic paintings in flowers, so other mediums. In that way, I'll get inspired, and the creative juice and the creative inspiration will flow inside. Okay, so that's the first question. So everything was planned, and although it was a struggle, it was something that I was able to surpass. You're not audible. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now? Maybe the mic was disconnected. I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Let me check. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now, guys? Yes, I can hear you. Now audible. Okay. So, what was the last word that you heard? Okay. So, as I mentioned, the biggest struggle that I faced was um transitioning from my work before as a CPA or an accountant to becoming a full-time artist. So it was a struggle because it was a big decision, and some people wasn't happy with the decision that I made, but by God's grace everything is okay now, and I was able to transition smoothly because I planned everything from all the things that I will be doing after I resigned, all the quota that I want to achieve every month, for me to sustain myself and to sustain this business and to help it grow. Okay. So the next question is, so what do you do when you feel uninspired to paint? As I've mentioned, I check on some other artists' work, especially those who are not related um to my medium or to my um niche, so that I will be inspired, but at the same time, I won't be triggered to copy or to I won't feel like I'm just gonna copy someone's work instead of just being inspired, because those are two different things, copying and being inspired. So you have to put yourself away from the temptation, especially if you're uninspired, because that's the most that's the best time for you to feel tempted to copy when you're not inspired. Okay, why do you like watercolor? I answered this question when um on my Skillshare class. So on the intro of my latest Skillshare class, you guys will hear why I love watercolor. So for those who are not yet part of my Skillshare class, this is my reason why I love watercolor. Number one, it's cheap. One watercolor tube as big as this. Do I have watercolor here? I think I don't have watercolor here beside me. But one watercolor tube can last for years. Um, when it comes to gouache or acrylics, it's not that it won't last that long. So this is a gouache tube, and this color I think will just last for 30 days or less if you're painting every day. So watercolor is cheaper compared to other mediums. Plus, the reason why it's cheaper also, and it's not it doesn't consume so much paint, is that because we ask for water's help. So the water helps the medium to multiply. Okay, so next question is why I love watercolor. Next reason, is because it's handy. I can bring it anywhere with just my one palette, and this will serve as my mixing palette also. My watercolor is here, and I just need one brush and one watercolor paper, and that's it. While for acrylic, I have to bring an easel. The canvas usually are big, and it's kind of messy, and um not so friendly for the environment, especially when we're throwing the the cup, or I mean the water inside our cup where we rinsed our brushes. So watercolor is really, for me, better and cheaper, and I think it's easy to use and easy to learn. You just really have to be friends with water. Okay, so next question. Wait, I'm gonna check our comment box if you guys added some new questions. Okay, thank you for greeting me. Happy anniversary. Actually, for those who are asking, my hand feels better now. Thank God. It's an anniversary gift from the Lord. So, for those who do not know, my hands have been aching for a week. I think a week already, and I can't paint. But just yesterday, it feels better already, and today it didn't hurt anymore. Just my thumb. Okay, question. Any favorite watercolor artist? I have a lot, actually. So let me just check, because I don't usually look at names, but my one of my favorite is Jolly Poa, of course. Everyone who paints flowers knows Jolly Poa. So Jolly Poa inspired me to paint flowers, because before I am actually focusing on calligraphy, and then I transitioned to watercolor just last 2020. But I've been painting watercolor since 2017, but since 2020, I stopped doing calligraphy and just focus on watercolor flowers. So Jolly Poa is one. And favorite artist. Helen Diltree, if you know her, she is from the US. And I also love Shush Hedge. She's an Indian, I think, but she lives in Europe. I also love who else? Kelly Ventura, but I think she uses gouache. So I have a lot of the whimsical creative Manu. I love Manu. She is my friend, and I love her work also. Okay, another question from the comment section is, I love your loose style, but have you ever considered painting more realistic style? Before I tried, I asked for my friend's help, Tin Behar by Tin B. I tried, but it's nice actually, but it's hard for me, and I think also that my style is really into loose painting, because even if I'm doing the realistic style, I'm still aiming for it to be soft on some edges. So I think it's really my heart's desire to make it loose and unrealistic, because one of the reason why not that I don't like, but rather I want it to be more loose, is that I want my audience, or someone who will look at my painting, like for example this one, to think. I just don't want them to look at it and everything will be fed up into their minds, into their eyes. I want them to think about what's in my painting, how and I want to know how they will react or what they see, because I think and I believe that every eyes has different perspective on someone's painting or someone's creation, especially if it's loose or abstract. Okay, another question here is, which brand of watercolor do you use? And I'm so happy that your hand is fine. Thank you so much. I'm so happy too. Which brand of watercolors? So, I use Daniel Smith. Let me just get my watercolor case so I can explain to you the difference of my different watercolor brands. I'm back. Okay, what watercolor brand do I use? So first is Daniel Smith. So I love Daniel Smith, especially this color, Undersea Green. You guys, I've mentioned this one last time. So it's Undersea Green by Daniel Smith. This is a very important color for me whenever I paint greens like leaves or grass. So another brand that I always use is Mijello. So Mijello is my first ever professional watercolor. So I have their 24 set, and the color that I can't live without from Mijello Mission is Van Dyke Brown. So this is my Van Dyke Brown, but recently I just got this color and it's called Van Dyke Brown Deep. And I was just curious, what's the difference between Van Dyke Brown and Van Dyke Brown Deep? And then I checked it and saw that Van Dyke Brown Deep is a substitute for sepia. So if you don't have sepia, you can use Van Dyke Brown Deep. You can buy this color. So another brand that I love is this one. It's Nevskaya Palitra. It's a Russian brand. Their watercolor line is called White Nights. And I also have a few of Schminke. So this one is, I think, from Germany. So this one is from Germany. So those are the brands of watercolor that I use. I also have Winsor and Newton, by the way. So just a few Winsor and Newton and Holbein. I just got Holbein last week. So those are the brands of watercolor that I use. And I only use professional watercolor brands because they are archival. So that means that if this painting will last for 80 years, it will stay the same or almost the same. So if you use a student grade watercolor paper, please do not sell your work because watercolor or watercolor paper, if you use a student grade, it will change. Your artwork will change. The color will change, especially if it's exposed to sunlight or even not sunlight, even just bright lights. So if you're selling your work, make sure to use a professional grade materials for paper and color. And also, if you want to ask what's the cheapest professional grade watercolor paint, I think it's Holbein or Shinhan. I also use Shinhan, I forgot. How to protect watercolor paintings. So, wait, I think I've skipped some questions. Okay, watercolor brand. Wait, another question here after the watercolor brand is from Simple Life, and she asked, "How can you say that a watercolor painting is good or beautiful?" So it actually depends on the person's eyes or point of view because we all have different tastes, we all have different experiences, and we all have different interiors that we want to um, dress up. So for example, for me, I'm attracted to more muted colors and those which are subtle. But some people just like colors. They want bright and glittery things. And that's also okay and that's also beautiful. It's really up to the person who is buying or and also to the painter who is creating the work. What brand of brushes do you suggest? Of course, Silver Black Velvet. You know, guys, that I'm a educator and brand ambassador for Silver Brush Limited. But even if I'm not, this is the only thing that I use. I mean, this one and this one. These two types of brush, this is actually the same. Wait. These brushes are actually the same. It's just this one is a regular version. This one is a travel version where you can put the the cover. inside. So you have to wet this one first because it will ruin if you weren't able to put it back properly. And this one is called the Golden Natural ultra round brush. This is a pointy round brush. I have a link on the description of this video wherein all the materials that I've been talking about, except the paints, because I'm not yet done linking everything, are on the it's like one link and everything is inside. And when you put the when you click the photo, you will be directed to the shop. It's different shops actually where I bought the materials. And I'm just finished doing all the links for Philippine stores. I will also do another link for Amazon shops, so you guys can also shop, but that might be uploaded tomorrow. But okay, I only use silver black velvet in all the sizes. But if you're investing, you can just buy size 8 and size 2 or size 6. And for the golden natural ultra round, just buy size 10 ultra round because this one is tiny. It's a tiny brush. Okay. So again, I suggest Silver Brush Limited. They have a lot of um, brushes in different range. Some brushes are for watercolors, some for acrylic, some for gouache. Dwight question. I have a I have a question regarding to watercolor paints. How do you deal with chalky watercolors if you encountered one? So I have encountered one. It's called, I think the brand is Symbalion watercolor paints. Usually student grade watercolors are really chalky and you just can't do anything about it. But it's okay to use those brands for practice. But if you want to invest, just buy Shinhan or Holbein. I think Shinhan has smaller tubes, which is around 75 per tube. But you don't need to buy a lot of colors. All you need to buy is olive green. If you're painting something like my style, olive green, yellow ochre, Van Dyke brown, blue, which is ultramarine, red, either perylene red or God, just the shade of red, any shade of red actually, and sepia, but sepia is optional, and you can add white gouache if you want something that's a little bit opaque. But if you want to invest, if you don't want to invest yet, and you still want to buy watercolor, I would suggest you just buy Prang watercolor. It's a student grade, it's cheap, but its quality is better than other watercolor brands that I've tried on the student grade range. And some people say that Superior watercolor or Sakura watercolor is also nice, but I haven't tried it. Prang is the one that I used when I was just starting. It's cheap and it has good quality. Okay, brand of watercolor I've mentioned earlier. Which brush size do you prefer? Invest in size 8 and size 2. Size 8 is for bigger petals or bigger details, and size 2 is for smaller details. Okay, so Car. Hi Jenny, nice to see you. Hi. I have a question how to improve sales on Etsy. Actually, I haven't tried Etsy, but just this week I was checking on how to sell on Etsy, and I think it's a nice place to sell or upload your products to. But I haven't tried Etsy, so maybe I can't help. But if you're asking on how to improve sales in general, I think it's good to do ads on social media like Instagram or Facebook. But if you're selling something aesthetic and something more expensive, go for Instagram ads. If you're something If you're selling something cheap or something on the lower price range, go for Facebook, because people on Instagram wants to buy aesthetic stuff, and it's okay for them to pay higher price. But people on Facebook, most of them are looking for cheap alternatives. So I think there's just an advantage if you do it on Instagram, especially if you're selling art. Okay, let me just go back. Okay, another question: how to protect watercolor paintings? Sorry. um, how to protect watercolor paintings? Just frame it, because you can varnish it because it's not canvas. If you're doing acrylic painting or oil painting, there are some varnish that you can use to protect your painting. But for watercolor, all you really have to do is frame it and put some glass or acrylic on top of it. Okay, another question, but before that, let me just sip some water. Okay, I'm back. So another question here is, hey Jenny, any tips for developing loose style? I always end up painting very detailed and making it more realistic. Love your style so much. One way is, if you're looking for an reference photo, for example, a bouquet on Pinterest, don't look at it in a general, I mean, on a detailed perspective. Look at it as if you're just trying to get the essence of the photo, or trying to get the essence of the painting. Like, for example, um, there's a bouquet, there's roses, there are fillers. So just paint the main subjects first. So big flowers, and then add some leaves or fillers. You don't really have to copy exactly everything. But when you're having a hard time making it loose when it comes to the main elements itself, like for example, painting roses, I think you have to just really forget about making it a bit detailed. I think it's a struggle really for those who are painting realistic style before jumping into loose floral style. But I think you have to practice more, because painting loose is more about making or letting your brush do the work. It's not drawing and then painting it. You really have to let the brush do the strokes, because each brush has its own capabilities. Like for round brush, it can create petals for rose, but for example, dagger brush, it's perfect for petals of dahlias. So something like that. Get to know your brush even more, and get to know your style even more, because even if it's just loose floral style, floral painting, there are also different styles to do it. Mm. Question: do you like to do illustration from fine liners? No, but before I tried doing floral line arts, but that was just a short period of time. That was the time when I was jumping from one medium to another. I was doing calligraphy, watercolor, acrylics, everything. That was from 2017 up to 2020, before I really focused on doing watercolor. What size of brush do you prefer? Size 8 and size 2. Before, I love size 6, but I realized it's too small. Okay. Another question. I saw on your stories that you receive a huge international art delivery. Do you have any favorite store that ships worldwide? I love shopping in Amazon because everything is in there already, and it's really cheaper compared to the prices here in the Philippines. And what I love about it is that there's Amazon in Japan, there's Amazon in Korea, and all other countries. So what I do is I only shop from the originating country of the brand that I want. Like for example, Holbein is from Japan, so I shopped it from Japan. Mijello is from Korea, so I shopped it in Korea. Daniel Smith is from the US, I think, and I shopped it in the US. So that's what I do to save money. And I only buy a lot of stuff once a year. I gather all the things that I need and then list it down and then shop it all at once because I want to feel like I'm opening a lot of gifts when they arrive all at once. So, but that's up to you guys. Just remember, shop only the things that you need and don't shop double. Don't shop, for example, you already have a round brush on this kind of hair and you want to try it on another brand. That's okay, but I think it's kind of wasteful and it would be better to just shop for another size or another type of hair instead. Okay, how do you preserve your artworks? Again, I frame them, but if I don't have frame yet, I just keep it on a folder, a sealed folder. I use 140 GSM watercolor paper. Is it enough quality for practicing watercolors? Practice if you think, if you're saying that your practice is just drills and mixing colors, I think that's okay. But if you're painting bouquets already, then I would ask you to upgrade a little bit. So I'm just gonna discuss all the papers that I use just so I can move on from my materials. Okay, so you guys know that I always use this paper. This is called the Bao Hong Academy watercolor paper. It's in 300 GSM and it's 100% cotton. So 100% cotton is very important if you're painting because it gives different effect on your paper and it's the really it's the advisable type of paper for watercolor painting. So if you don't have Bao Hong in your country, you can check on this one. It's called Fabriano Artistico. So Fabriano is the brand, Artistico is the line. So Fabriano Artistico is a 100% cotton paper also. And this one is in grana fina. So I think it's fine grain in English. It's cold press. Always use cold press if you want something, if you want to paint something that is more controlled. Okay, but for practice, you may use this one. It's called, this one is more expensive though. This, I think it's 3,000 pesos in the Philippines for only 20 sheets. So you guys would know how expensive watercolor supplies are. So this one is more cheaper. It's cheaper. I mean, not more cheaper. It's cheaper. It's just 700 pesos. So I think that's 700 in USD is 12 to 14 US dollars. And but this one is in size 10 by 7. This one is actually 9 by 12. So this one is bigger. Now, this is for the beginners. So if you want to practice, but um if you want to practice and you want to save some bucks, then use this one. This is called Fabriano watercolor in 25% cotton. So it's only 25%. That's why it's cheaper, but its quality is also nice for practice, but I don't recommend this one if you are gonna sell your work. Now, I'm also trying to do another style of painting where I mix watercolor and gouache. So, it's something like this. So, in this kind of style, I use hot pressed paper or something that is smooth. So, this one is the Viviva Colors watercolor journal. This one is available in worldwide, I think. And for paper, I use Arches hot pressed watercolor paper. This is 100% cotton, and I think this is 60 USD or around 3,000, or maybe not, 2,040 USD, probably around that. Now, another watercolor journal that I use is the Etcher watercolor journal, but I don't recommend this that much. It's nice, but I think for practice only, not for selling also. And it's a journal, so you can sell your work from your journal. Okay, so another hot press that is cheap is this one if you wanted to do the style that I was also trying to practice lately. So this one is from Bao Hong. Those are the papers that I use for watercolor, and they are all on the link on the description. Okay. So to answer your question, 140 GSM is okay for practice, but I think you have to upgrade if you are painting compositions already. So you were hosting a giveaway and it's international. Yes, but I haven't talked to all the sponsors yet, so I think there will be some delay. But yes, I'm gonna have a giveaway, and it's gonna be an international giveaway in 4 series. So 4 different sponsors, 4 different weeks. So there will be 4 different winners. And just so you know, guys, I already changed my username on Instagram. So if you haven't checked, I'm no longer the After 7, and I'm already Jenny Flores Art. The reason why I changed my first, before I answer the reason why I changed my username, I'm gonna answer one question here. So this is from Sonia. She asked, why the After 7? So if you don't know yet, listen. If you already know, just keep on listening also. So the reason why I named my brand the After 7 is that I used to work from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. before as an accountant for a brand that is it's a healthy brand here in the Philippines. So I used to work from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and I only get to do all the things that I love after 7. So after 7 p.m. I can paint, I can do calligraphy, I can draw or whatever I want. I can do it after 7. While working on that company, I was also listening to a podcast from Arian Serafico, and I also attended her passion project workshop that time. That was 2018 or 2017, I think. So she mentioned that whatever you do, uh, she mentioned that it's not your 8 to 5 job that will make you happy and fulfilled, but rather whatever you do after 5 p.m. So it's applicable to them 5 p.m. because it's the usual work time, but mine is 7 p.m. So I realized, what do I do after 7? So there I realized that I paint and I draw and I do calligraphy after 7. So I started this brand. I started my passion project and named it After 7. But now, since last 2 years, I resigned from my job and pursued creative entrepreneurship full time. So I realized just a month ago, and this has been a thought for me for a long time already, that the After Seven is a good story, but it doesn't represent me anymore because I no longer work after 7. I work wherever I can, whenever and wherever I want. I mean. So yeah, I changed my name to Jenny Flores Art to represent the brand even more. And I'm so excited because I know that the After Seven brought a lot of good things and good memories to my business. But I think that this is the new chapter of my career, and I know that I will experience more, something better, something bigger, and I'm just so excited. Okay, so a question here is, do you seal, spray, varnish your artworks? No, I don't. I just frame it and keep it on a safe space after painting if I don't want to frame it yet. Another question is, how do you price your artworks? Pricing artworks is a really difficult thing to do, and it really depends on the artist. So some people say that the market will dictate the price, but the truth is you will dictate your price. How much value do you give yourself? How much cost did you incur? So for me, I price my art in a way that I will be happy, that I will feel like I was compensated well, and I don't care if people will think that I'm overpriced. Um, I just want to price it the way that I want to, and there's no pattern. So even if you're starting, even if you're a beginner, if you think that you deserve more, then price it on a higher price range. You don't have to copy the price of your friend because you're different. Your art is different. Your art is unique. Even if you redo your art, it's not the same. So I think that all artworks are valuable, and it's really up to the artist whether they will price it on higher price range or not. Okay, next question. What's the difference of hot and cold press paper? Hot pressed are smooth, cold pressed are textured. I'm not sure if you guys will see it. This one is hot press, and this one is cold press. You will see that there are textures here and here. So that's the difference of hot pressed and cold pressed paper. What do you do whenever you experience art block? I answered this already earlier, so you can later, after finishing this live, you can go back. What brand of paper is good if you're going to sell your artwork? Any 100% cotton watercolor paper is good, but I would recommend Bao Hong, Arches, or Fabriano. And some people say that Saint Kurt Mills something. This is I think they name it Saint Cuthbert thing. That brand, just search it. It's nice also. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here. If you have thought another question, just type it there. Okay. Best time to work on projects. So for me, I like working at night unless the project needs some sunlight, because our house doesn't have a lot of light, so I mean, it doesn't have a lot of windows, so I have to really be strategic whenever I shoot or do something that has to be well lit. So if it's shooting an online class or shooting an artwork, I do it on daytime. But if it's painting a project or um, if it's planning for a release or really just painting anything that I want to paint, I do it at night. Okay. And also, guys, I don't do commissions because I don't want to feel pressured. So what I do is I paint and paint and paint and then sell it. So what you see is what you get. I just don't want to feel pressured, or I don't want to see disappointments from my clients if ever my artwork is not the same as what they are expecting. So just to remove that part that I will be anxious, I just don't accept commission work anymore. Okay. When did you start painting watercolors? I started 2017 and started teaching watercolor 2018, but actually my work wasn't that good that time. But it's decent, but it's not good. So just be confident, okay? And I still believe that even if my work wasn't that pretty, I was able to impart something that is very useful to my students. So that's something that I'm very confident about. Okay. Okay, let's go to some business topics. But before that, another question here. How do you know if you're capable enough to start a workshop? First is you have to know what you're going to teach. So if you think that you can teach what you already know, then you're good to go. Some people already know how to do things, like, for example, they know how to paint leaves, but it's a struggle for them to teach it because they just don't know how to structure everything. So, all you have to do with that is to divide the steps that you did, like, do you have to draw first and stuff? What are the colors? So you really just have to divide all the steps and then you're good to go. Now, when it comes to the psychological part of teaching, it's more of your confidence as an artist. And you really have to be confident when you're teaching because it's hard for the students to believe and to understand what you're teaching if you yourself, the teacher, don't trust yourself that much. So confidence is the key. I know some people who are not really good enough, but they teach well because I think it's really more about the confidence and the passion to impart your knowledge to others. Okay, so before I answer the question of how to grow in your Instagram, I am going to answer a question here when it comes to business. What's your advice if you need to start an art business? What are the first steps to take? So the first step is actually to know what you're gonna do. Are you gonna sell your product? Are you gonna sell art prints, or are you gonna sell original paintings, or are you gonna teach a workshop? So starting an art business is a very broad um, world. I mean, art business is a very broad world, and it's very important to know where you want to position yourself because doing everything all at once won't help you. Maybe you would think that it will give you more money, but the truth is it will divide your attention and you will just have a hard time focusing on one area. So my advice is just pick one first and then focus yourself on growing that part of your business. And then if you think that you're confident enough to expand, then do so. Okay. What is your advice to someone who wants to sell their art, make sustainable income from their creative business? My answer is first you have to establish a brand. So um, you have to be known for something and not just being an artist. So if you want to sell your art, first you have to know, what are you as an artist? Are you an abstract artist? Are you a floral illustration artist? Because if people will check on you or your works or your profiles, especially the collectors, they want to know what are they buying, or they want to know who is the maker of the things that they're buying, because arts are expensive and they want to invest on something that will um, give value to them in the future, and not just something that they can display um, in their home. Because if that's the case, then I think it would be better to just create art prints. So if you're gonna price your work in an expensive way, then you have to establish a brand. Brand yourself, brand your social media accounts, brand your website. You don't have to have a website before you start selling. My point here is you just have to niche down and just know yourself and know your artwork even more first before putting it out and selling it to the world. Okay. and and also, this is not a strict rule, it's just an advice. You can still do whatever you want. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna answer again the question here. So, how to grow your Instagram? I realized I should have done this. The clicking of comments. Okay, how to grow your Instagram. I have a workshop about this. It's a free class about this last May, and I think I should upload it on my YouTube. So you guys, some of you who weren't able to attend, can watch it. So maybe I'll upload it. But here are some tips. Number one, niche down. So just like what I mentioned earlier, when it comes to starting your business, you have to niche down. What are you? Are you a landscape artist? Are you a watercolor artist? Or are you a calligrapher? Because if your profile just picks everything, you do watercolor, you do crochet, you do cooking, you do everything in one account, then the visitors won't know what is your store or what is your account all about. Just imagine you will go to McDonald's to check what's inside, and then you will see clothes, you will see hospital stuff, you will see IKEA stuff inside, and it's just messy, and you wouldn't know what's inside and what the store is actually selling, or what this person is actually doing, because there's so much things that's going on. So it's important to know and to niche down. So pick your niche. That's one thing. The second thing is um the second thing is, what else did I mention in there? um Wait, I can't remember what I mentioned in there, but I'll just give you a random advice right now that is very effective with my brand. So the next advice is connect with your audience. Number three, be consistent. So always post, because if you post today and then your next post is 2 months later, people won't follow you because they will check your history, and they only want to follow active people. They want to follow accounts that are responsive to comments. They want to follow accounts that post every day because they want to inspire. People check on their social media. Almost everyone, especially on Instagram, especially the creatives on Instagram, opens their social media at least once a day. So if you're not part of the circle that is going on in their newsfeed, then Instagram will just take you away, and you will be just put on the non-essential, not active file. And that's how you lose engagement and lose followers. Mm. How much is the pricing if you're just starting to conduct a workshop? It actually depends on the country where you're from. So in the Philippines, some people price it at 1,000 pesos, or that's actually $20 in the US. But I believe that if you know that your talent is good and you know that you have something to share on your students, you can price it as high as you can, because if you're a professional, people will really attend your workshop and want to learn from you. Did you also face mean or rude comments over your art? They somehow make me sad. It's actually normal to receive bad comments. Some people are just rude. But I think you really have to get over it, and you really have to get used to it, because it's part of being creative. And some people just really don't know how to express their criticisms. Some criticisms are really helpful, but you have to know your value and you have to know the direction that you wanted to take. Because um, I saw this one on TikTok. A person criticized an artwork because she wants the artwork to be more realistic, but not every artwork should be realistic. So you really just have to be proud and to be consistent with your values as an artist, and just shake it off, as Taylor Swift says. So you just have to get over it. Just imagine, out of, let's say, 10 people who love your work, maybe just one will hate it, and that's okay. You are not gonna create for them. Okay. Okay, some questions here. Another question here is, mm, video editing app for IG stories. It's called InShot. So this is the brand logo of InShot. I'm not sure if this one is visible. Anyway, it's InShot. And another one that I use is Mojo. So Mojo is free, but I use the paid version because I use it to promote my classes and some Instagram stories that I have to promote. So I use the paid version of Mojo. I use the free version of InShot. And for video editing for my class, I only use iMovie. For the camera, I use Sony ZV-1. This is the camera that I'm using right now for the video of this live. And for laptop and editing, I use iMac and MacBook Air. Okay, so what else? Some of you were asking about this thing. This is my phone stand. This is what I use when I do TikTok videos for my art. So this is where I put my camera. This is actually for iPad, but I somehow found a way to use it for my camera. So it's very flexible, like this, and you can extend it. So this is what I use. And for my voice editing, for my mic, I use the Rode Wireless Go 2. So this is the mic that I use, and it really helped me with my Skillshare class or all the online classes. So I invested on a good mic and camera. For the lights, I have Godox and underwear for my camera tripod. So all of these are linked on the link in the description. So the supplies link. A question here. Last question from me. Do you have tips in editing loose watercolors to be posted on Instagram? I have a complete class about this on Skillshare, and it's really hard to describe, but I use some apps like Lightroom and what else? Lightroom, Snapseed, and for PixArt. And all of these are explained and how to style your work, because some people just take their photo and just put a lot of things that are not related to their artwork and then take a photo of it on a low light um, room, and it just doesn't make it look beautiful, and you discount the beauty of your work if you weren't able to take a good photo of it. So I really suggest that you study on how to take a good photo of your artwork. So yeah, I use Lightroom and Snapseed. So if you can check that class, that will be very helpful, because I explain how to use those apps. They're very helpful, I swear. Question here: how could you be consistent in sharing social media? Could you share a little bit of tip on how to manage your time? So next week probably I'll upload that class, but just to give you a quick advice, I think it would be better to gather artworks first. So I always post. I post every day, and before I post, like for example, I'll post it today. The artwork was already made a week ago. So as I mentioned to you guys earlier, I only paint once or twice a week, and on those days, I am able to produce two, three, or four artworks. So what I do is I post those artworks, and then I also post some old artworks and take a photo of it in a different angle. So in that way, people will see something from my page, but I don't have to paint every day. So that's my tip. How do you know when to stop calling yourself a beginner when it came to watercoloring? How did you know when to start calling yourself a professional? I think it's up to you. No one will dictate what you want to call yourself, but for professional, I think it's more of when you're earning from your work already, or when you're doing it in a way that you're doing it professionally, like you're selling your artwork, or you're conducting workshops, or you're doing commissions, something like that. I think you can call yourself professional when it comes to that point already. But for a beginner, maybe if you still struggling or finding yourself on a stage where you're still exploring or just trying things, I think that's a beginner. But if you already know how to do things, you already know how to paint something that is decent, I think you already surpassed the beginner level by that time. Okay. We'll check Skillshare after this. Thank you so much. And guys, I have a raffle today. So um there are 24 people who are watching this live class right now. I'm gonna raffle 5 access to my live workshop. So if that's gonna be on October 15, I think. And so 5 people will win an access. But if you're on Skillshare, all you have to do is leave a review and leave a and post your final project on the project section of the class, and you'll automatically get an access to the class on October 15. So that's a live class, and that's a limited seating class. So I know you guys will learn a lot from that, and I will teach you how to mix beautiful shades of green. And I'm gonna reveal a lot of colors and the shade of green to you guys. So the brands, the shade that you can use. So our first winner is Simple Life. So, Simple Life, you're the first winner. Please send me a DM on Instagram, and um, I will also take down your name here on my phone. So another winner will be drawn later. But before that, I'm gonna answer a question. Does Instagram algorithm give a problem to you? Yes, actually, Instagram algorithm is a struggle for me, but I just came to realize, just lately that it's really hard for us creatives to survive Instagram if they're gonna do it that way. But I'm still thankful for the support that you guys are giving me, and so that's the reason why I just send emails. I'm gonna conduct a lot of live classes or live conversations like this in the future, because I want to connect with you in a real way, and not just on an Instagram way, because Instagram is making it hard for me to connect with you. So instead of just waiting for Instagram to be better, I just create my own move. So if you're someone who is trying to grow your Instagram account, but you're having a hard time because of the algorithm, you just really have to study all the things about Instagram, because there are loopholes. You can use hashtags that are relevant. You can um, put things on your Instagram caption that will really be helpful for your account to be seen. And of course, you have to create something that is very aesthetically pleasing, because Instagram is a visual app. So if you don't know how to take a good photo of your artwork, you have to learn how to do that. And also, if you are gonna if you want to become an art influencer, or if you want to gain a lot of followers, your Instagram feed in general should be nice. So you have to plan that ahead, or just really do something about it. So if you have to archive everything and start all over again, then do so. So Instagram algorithm is a problem that we cannot solve, so you really have to just move on from it, and just do something that you know will be helpful for your business. So another winner is Dwight Malin. Dwight. Hi, Dwight. You're a winner. Okay. All right. So another question in here is, shop in Lazada for watercolor paper practice. That's on the link in my bio. So we're over an hour already. Sorry, guys. So another question here. How to choose color to make flower painting look nice, beautiful, and match. So you can look for inspirations on Pinterest. So you can look for watercolor. No, don't look for watercolor. Look for real life bouquets. So wedding bouquets and all, those are curated based on color palette. So you can that can be your inspiration. Of course, you cannot copy it directly, because of course there are limited colors on watercolor, but having an inspiration, like for example red, orange, brown, and they match nice, they match beautifully when it comes to bouquet. So probably it will also give a beautiful and harmonious effect on your watercolor composition. So I do that. That's what I do. Okay. How to get sepia color. If you don't have sepia, all you have to do is mix brown and black. How do I get brighter color in watercolor? It always toned down when it dries up. So Watercolor is, yeah, that's true. It always toned down when it dries up because the water, I mean, the paper absorbs the water. So what you can do is make it more concentrated, remove a lot of water, and instead add a lot of pigments. So in my class, I discussed the different water and color ratio. So if you were able to attend my class, you can apply that one. Make, if you want a very vibrant painting, then make it in butter mixture. Okay. Another winner is Pen and Petal. So please message me on Instagram. And last two winners is Lara Jane Evale. Another winner, I'll announce that later. If you have another question, one last question. I'm going to answer one last question. So, guys, I'm going to have a giveaway hopefully on Friday. And I hope you guys can join. And please interact with me on Instagram. Just leave any comment, even if it's just a heart emoji or a smile emoji or a question. Please leave it on my comment section because it will be helpful for me and my account to maintain its status. Okay, and just one last advice for those who are having a hard time on Instagram, maybe TikTok is for you. So try TikTok, but it's harder because you have to take videos. But if you get used to it, it will be easier. Okay, I was able to grow my TikTok account from 0 followers to 10,000 followers in just 1 week, I think, or 10 days. And none of them, or just 1% of them, is from Instagram. So the rest is from TikTok. Okay. I have a TikTok class, but I have a TikTok class. So it was out last May, but you can also re enroll if you weren't able to join last May. I'm going to open enrollment on November probably. Okay, so far these are the questions. One last winner before we go. Okay, one last winner. One last winner is Tea Time with Yaya or Yashna. So Yashna, you're the winner. You're our last winner. So if you weren't able to win today, that's okay because we will have 4 more giveaways and hopefully it will start on Friday, but the prices are nice. I think there will be black velvet and Mia gouache and lots of paper products and some ceramic watercolor palettes. So if you're excited about that, just keep on checking my Instagram account. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you on my next live, hopefully next week. Bye.